I also feel like since I never served, they'll never actually be able to talk to me in a way, if that makes sense. I always feel like they'd be like, well, you might have done some great things, Brian, and you might win an Olympic gold medal, and you might give a TED talk, and you might, cure cancer, but you've never done what we've done. And I mean, maybe that's true though. Maybe I will never have an experience like that, but I always feel like I'll never be able to know. Is that me just being really paranoid, or is it because going through those difficult things really is a different thing in life?
I think it's a combination of a few things. I think it's a lot of people put military service on a pedestal. And personally, I don't think that it should be put there. It's a unique occupation with unique requirements, but it doesn't make the individual who serves unique in any way, shape, or form. You might have some experiences if you operate in a combat environment, and you have to think about the military and the U.S. military as a whole. If you judge or think about the U.S. military from what you see in books, TVs, or movies, it is my opinion that you are going to have a very skewed perspective of what the occupations actually are. About 15% of the U.S. military actually has a job occupation that by definition is supposed to engage in combat. So we're already stripping 85% of the people who are in the U.S. military from some of those experiences that you were talking about, even though they serve the country and honorably as well. And before I say anything else, what I was able to do in the military was because of those other 85%. It's one big wheel and it takes all of the cogs. And one thing that I think is unfortunate is that most of the attention is spent on occupations like mine, and very little is spent on the occupations that enabled me to do what I was able to do. I don't know how to fly a helicopter or maintenance one or service the weapons to the degrees that the armorers did. And I don't know where the bullets came from or the aircraft lift and the intelligence and the weather specialists and all of these things that had to come together for me to be able to actually go on target. So 85% of the military is not designed to touch combat in any way, shape, or form. And then inside of that 15%, I would say maybe 5% of that 15% actually gets to see combat. And I'm glad that you don't have those experiences. It was an incredibly complex, rewarding, challenging, painful environment at times. But any lesson learned in that environment, I feel like it's more concrete for me because I was in that environment and operating in that environment. But the lessons can be taken from that, and they can be overlaid, in my opinion at least, anywhere in society and in almost any job occupation. There's, of course, some job-specific things that we learned from engaging in combat that are not going to have much to do with banking or real estate or healthcare. And that's okay. Strip those small percentages away. But everything else, when it comes to, you mentioned Jocko about extreme ownership. You can apply those concepts. I don't care who you are and what you do. You can apply that to just being a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, and those concepts will still apply. Tim Kennedy, the Army Special Forces background, or Rangers, or MARSOC, or SEALs. The lessons are very similar in all of those communities because the job is actually very similar. I think those communities are defined by their similarities and not by their differences. But all of those lessons learned, explained appropriately and looked at through the correct context, can have a positive impact on your life, regardless of whether or not you will ever experience them yourself or your job title that you might have.